Welcome to the podcast. This is a space where we tap into our truth, our essence, where we go to the depths within to seek our wounding and find a way to transmute it. These conversations will not only set ourselves up for amazing changes within our lives, but will also allow us to hold space for those around us. I believe that through these conversations, we will start to heal the feminine and tap into our divine essence. And then we will be able to hold space for the divine masculine, calling them up to a greater version of themselves. Let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful humans. I'm here today with a little story and of course, an expansion and some depth. And I was cleaning up something in my room, and I just had this notion of like looking at my vision board. And what really caught my eye was this one piece on the bottom left-hand corner of my vision board. And I'll read it to you. It says, "The true beauty of summer is in its promise. We can always be fruitful again." And for whatever reason, maybe it's because as I'm recording this, it's, sliding into fall and I can feel the transition of the seasons. But this really just reminded me of the seasons that can occur in our own lives, the seasons that can occur in our own body, the transitioning that we can go through ourselves. And in true manifesting generator form, my strategy is to respond. So right away, this just spawned a conversation. I had to set up my mic and come on here to have this conversation with you. And I love this reminder. And it feels like something that needs to be shared one more time. And that's the reminder of not every season is blossoming and blooming and growing and expanding and fruitful like summer. We all have moments, times, even seasons in our lives where things aren't flourishing. They're not at their capacity. It's not all sunshine and play and excitement and joy the way that summer feels to me. Sometimes we go through seasons of lull, of fall. I'm in the northern hemisphere, so we have very distinct seasons. And fall for us, like everything just pauses. The leaves start to fall off the trees. Everything just drops and falls away. And then we have winter, which always feels like a deep hibernation to me. I think if I was to be an animal, I would be very close to a bear. I love to hibernate for the winter. That whole be in your den, be in your cave, cozy, sort of like away from the elements is very much my vibe. And I think sometimes we forget that we, just like nature, have seasons. We are not meant to always be blooming. We're not meant to always be thriving. Even if we look at like birds, let's say an eagle, for example, big, strong, powerful, but even the eagle soars, uses the wind under its wings in order to conserve energy and doesn't fly all the time. I think based on our society and our conditioning, we have been told as humans over time that productivity is king. To go, 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 push, force, do, create, bring things into the world. And when we're not doing that, that somehow we aren't worthy. But when we look at anything in nature, we would, and compare that to what it is that we're told to be as humans in society, we would actually notice that we then are the outlier. It is I don't know if this is the right word, but in many ways unnatural in quotes, for us to be constantly doing, us to be constantly moving, for us to be constantly creating, for us to be constantly putting into the world, especially as women. We have a longer cycle. We have a cycle of nurturing. We have a cycle. We sometimes cycle or off cycle with the moon. We are meant to be and operate and do differently. And I feel like there is space. I feel like these conversations are very much coming to the surface, where we are acknowledging and understanding that we cannot keep doing the way that we have been doing. It's not working. And I really also feel like there's this moment where we are getting back to the truth that resides in our knowing, that resides in our body, that resides in our lineage. There's almost like an awakening from these cells, these parts of us within that are ready to come to the forefront, that are ready to emerge, that are ready to be taught again amongst women. And so what I really want to offer you today is, where are you treating yourself? Where is there an expectation in your life that you should be doing more, or you should be creating, or you should, whatever the should is? Where are you expecting your body, your mind, your energy to be in the energy of summer, to be in the energy of this fruitful, expansive blossoming? And where can we just acknowledge what is? Maybe it's a season of fall. Maybe it's a season of spring where there is this renewal, but it's not in full bloom yet. Maybe it's a season of winter where we're in deep quiet, where there's a deep void and hibernation, where we're just meant to be and not be creating, but in that silence, in that depth, in that in between, in the quote unquote nothingness, acknowledging that that space can actually be the space where the most beautiful things are born. What I would really love to see for women, for everyone, is a rewriting of the story that doing quote unquote nothing isn't productive. Because in my own healing, in my own experience, in my own evolution, those spaces, that time in between, has been the most fruitful, has allowed spring. Winter has allowed spring, has allowed summer. All parts of the seasons are necessary in order for that full bloom to occur. So where can we allow and just notice without judgment what is present in our world right now? What season are we in? What is the gift in that season? What can we extract from where we already are without wishing it away, without projecting into the future, without just looking towards summer? Where can we just find the beauty in the now? And I totally get this. For the longest time, I was very much in my masculine energy. I would push, I would force, I would do. And for me, that felt exhausting. Like, I'm a manifesting generator. I have the capacity to create really big energy when I'm excited. But I forced myself to do a lot of things. And in the forcing, actually created depletion of my energy. And so if this feels like you, if you feel like resonant or called out or whatever the piece is, just know that this comes from the most beautiful level of compassion, the compassion that I have been able to create for myself, the compassion that I have for you if this is the season that you're in, because I get it. I have been there. I lived there for a very long time. And even in this current season of my life, that's something that I'm still unraveling parts of, still releasing this notion that that doing nothing, that doing nothing, when I say doing nothing, I mean like journaling, sitting, doing the emotional work. Like sometimes we have labeled nothing, like sometimes we have labeled something as nothing, if that makes sense to you. Like there are still things that we are doing in the things that we label as nothing, but why do we label them as nothing? In that exploration of that question for myself, it was like anything that wasn't producing money, anything that didn't make me feel productive or worthy, I labeled as nothing. And yet, these past 2 years have deeply shown me that going within, doing the inner work, the nothing has been the most transformative actions I could have ever taken for myself, for my life. Because when I shift and I work on the things, when I give myself space to hear my body, to hear my intuition, and then I have space to consider why it's uncomfortable for me to hold space for my knowing. And I work on that deep notion. And then I learn how to create more space for myself and really act and move in accordance and in alignment with what I already know within. That is the furthest thing from nothing. That is everything. And so, where can we just observe ourselves and get curious of how we've come to label things. Get curious of why we do the things that we do. Get curious about what actually feels good in our body, what feels in alignment. And I know alignment's something that word's thrown around a lot, but like what feels good? What feels energy giving? Regardless of what your design is, and something that feels like life force giving or energy giving is going to be in alignment with your signature. The things that feel depleting are going to be in alignment with your not self theme or a way of your body to connect with you and tell you that something is not right. But all of these things require spaciousness. They require quiet. They require time to explore, to investigate, to feel. They require the fall and the winter in the seasons. Where can we allow those seasons to give us space to understand ourselves so that when spring comes, when the energy starts to revive itself, when the ground starts to thaw, we can take into consideration what seeds we want to plant for our future. But not with this expectation that we are always in a season of summer, that we always need to be producing and blooming at our maximum capacity. I think if we can really do this for ourselves individually, I firmly believe that changing anything in this world starts from within. And then with each person doing their own personal work, we have a ripple effect out into the world. I've seen it in my own life. And I trust that if we can understand ourselves, if we can give space and start to unravel some of the social and human constructs that have been created, that we might have a chance of shifting things on this planet. And if you are in a season or in between seasons where you feel like maybe you haven't been honoring yourself, or maybe there's a little bit more work to do, maybe there's some pieces to connect within you, maybe you're looking for sisterhood or community, maybe you're looking to find ways to create more space and forgiveness within yourself. My invitation for you is to join us for the Sisterhood Dinner on January 19th. It is local to the Barrie Horseshoe Valley area. So if you are in the area or around the area and you would like to join us, we are going to be talking. The theme for that dinner is forgiveness. I'm going to be taking you through the practice that I now use a couple of times a year in order to re-anchor myself, in order to connect again to myself, to let go of the things that are weighing on me, the burdens, the past transgressions, the things that I have done that feel full of shame and blame, that are holding me back like an anchor on a balloon. And so if this is something you want to work on, I invite you to join us, and there will be a link for that event in the show notes. Thank you for listening. It is my absolute honor, pleasure to hold these conversations, to have a space for these transmissions to come through. It is my belief that through these conversations, we start to heal ourselves and send ripples out into the world. I know you are ready for this. I know the world is ready for this. If you are already thinking of someone else who needs to hear this podcast, I would be absolutely honored for you to share it. And if we're not already friends on Instagram, please come find me at Exponential Alchemy. I will see you soon.